Yeah, I'm watching that game last night. The 49ers and the Browns. So we could all see from a mile away that the Bills were going to take care of this one handily. It was snowing like crazy. They had to get some residents of Buffalo. They paid them $20 an hour. They gave them food, hot beverages to try and keep them warm. But the Bills fans were typical Bills fans, typical, Bills Mafia, doing what they do, and that's being intensely loyal, shown up under the worst of circumstances as it pertains to the weather. And Buffalo got the dominant W, 35-10. And Josh Allen, we could show you all stats provided by our friends at StatMe's. All graphics provided by my man, Alfred Parsard Jr. Love you, Alfred. Let's put up the graphic right here with Josh Allen did because it was quite historic. All right, 14 of 18, 77% completion is pretty amazing. Only 173 total yards, but 2 pass touchdowns, 1 rush touchdown, and a receiving touchdown that had Chris Collinsworth on NBC about to fall over, okay? But Josh Allen, only player in NFL history with a touchdown throw, run, and catch in the same game. Josh Allen, I must say, has had a pretty good last 10 days of his life. Going back to his engagement 10 days ago, he beat the Chiefs, the division's falling apart, and the Bills are rolling. It's been a pretty good 2 weeks for Josh Allen. But I'm watching that game, and these have been 2 organizations that I think are incredibly well run, good ownership, good GMs, and have competed for Super Bowls for the last 5+ years or so. The Niners are obviously not going to do that. This year, the Bills are. But as I'm watching, I couldn't help myself from this thought coming in my head. Okay, the Bills for the last 5 to 6 years have been building around their superstar quarterback with whatever pieces they can put around him. Be it coaching, be it ancillary pieces, receivers, defense, the whole bit. And the 49ers have tried to build their quarterback around what once was an all-star roster. It's not now because, they're the most beat-up team in the National Football League. I've never seen anything like it. Christian McCaffrey, according to Shanahan's, out for the year now with that injury suffered in the first half. Jordan Mason, they just put on IR. So, listen, the kid, Garendo, is a nice player. I like him. But, man, you're down to your third-string running back. Ayuk's gone. Debo is a shell of himself. Trent Williams, God bless him. He's going through some terrible stuff going on right now. Prayers for Trent Williams. And, even another player on the Niners roster, I forget who it was, dealing with situations family-wise. This has been the season from hell for the 49ers, and Shanahan hasn't done his best coaching job. But I was thinking about, building around your quarterback as opposed to building your quarterback around your roster. That's the difference between these 2 franchises, both of which have been successful. Frankly, the Niners have been more successful. But what is more sustainable? Now, first of all, finding a franchise franchise quarterback's really hard. Finding a superstar quarterback's almost impossible. You got to get a high draft pick, hit on him, then you got to get the right coaching staff. A lot of pieces got to come around. But the Niners, with Shanahan, when they constructed this incredible roster around 2017, 18, 19 in the draft, they had some pieces of free agency like Richard Sherman back in the day, and they said, Jimmy Garoppolo's not perfect, has an injury history, doesn't move that well. We're not sure if he can play from behind, so we will ensure that all of the above scenarios won't come to pass because we'll just put a bunch of all-stars around him. And it got him to a 10-point lead in the Super Bowl, so came pretty close. If Jimmy makes a throw to Emmanuel Sanders, they win that game in all likelihood over Kansas City back in 2019. And then they had the down year, 2020, the injuries, whatever. 2020 was a weird year for a number of reasons. 2021 rolls around. It's pretty much the same roster, same all-star level dudes, and he gets to the NFC Championship with the limited quarterback of Garoppolo. But what happened before that? Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and the 49ers front office said, you know what? We've got these guys. We've got this roster. But we have to, our quarterback is so limited. And I was on this train with Jimmy G for years about his limitations. We have to account for so many of his flaws as opposed to him elevating us. Well, we're just going to sell the farmer draft picks and go get Trey Lance because he can lift us. Yeah, that didn't work out so well at all. And by the way, I was the first on the train who was dead wrong about Trey Lance. The kid has an accuracy problem. He's really athletic, upside, but if he couldn't work with Shanahan, I'm not really sure who he can work with. Nothing against Mike McCarthy, but he's not Kyle Shanahan, to put it mildly. Okay, so you have all those different scenarios. They tried Trey Lance. It didn't work, so you got to go back to Garoppolo. After Trey Lance get hurt in 2022, and all of a sudden, Garoppolo goes down, and here's Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy. It's like, who's this guy? This guy looks really good. He looks even better than Garoppolo, which he is. If not for an elbow injury, could have gotten to a Super Bowl in 2022. The elbow came back fine in 2023. They did make a Super Bowl. But once the all-star roster goes down, not that Purdy's supposed to lift them to the Super Bowl. That's not realistic for most quarterbacks. He's just not good enough to get the most out of the juice that is there. Folks, these Buffalo Bills rosters, I've said it. I'm not going to act like they're bad. I'm not going to act like they were the Patriots or something. But I've said for years, it's why I was always, over the course of the last few years, quite sheepish, up until this year, on the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, offensive line isn't great. Diggs is really good. Gabe Davis, I guess, has a good playoff game every once in a while. And, well, they don't run it that well. I don't trust their defense in the playoffs. And Josh Allen, for my criticism of him as it pertains to his recklessness, which today it seems like he is just eliminated. It's unbelievable. Maybe the Joe Brady hiring is what did it. The guy just doesn't throw interceptions anymore. He doesn't make mistakes. Is that I was always like, yeah, Josh gets the most out of the Bills. Oh, they're losing to the Chiefs in the playoffs. What are you going to do? Oh, what are you going to do? He's losing to Kansas City. He's losing to Mahomes. He's playing amazing in those games. Oh, what do you want him to do? Whereas the 49ers, it's, God, I hope Trent Williams is healthy. Oh, if McCaffrey goes down, we're screwed. What's going to happen if Keon Coleman's been out for a while? Amari Cooper wasn't even there to start the season. They've had games where they didn't run that football that effectively with James Cook. Kincaid's been out. I mean, they've dealt with Khalil Shakir's beat up. They are dealing with a number of injuries over the course of the season, in which what I think, which is why I believed in the Bills before this year, is a more balanced roster. But they have a guy who, if the fit does hit the shan, you know you're going to get the most out of it. This isn't even an anti-Brock Purdy thing. This is the Niners weren't necessarily wrong on how they built the roster for crying out loud. They came close to winning 2 Super Bowls and getting to another. And maybe another if Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt. But it does have a hard ceiling if those guys get older and get more injured. George Kittle's getting up there in age. Shows McCaffrey. Trent Williams is one of the oldest offensive linemen in the National Football League. Deebo Samuel is a shell of himself of what he used to be. Now I rely on Jordan Mason, who's a good running back. Hate that he got injured. Knock on wood for him. But, I mean, he's a good player. But that's kind of it. Brandon Ayuk's got an injury problem. Before he got injured, he was dropping the football. You are relying on a lot of variables to make sure you get the most out of your quarterback. And with the Buffalo Bills, it's long as Josh is good, we're fine. Our receivers can miss games. You know, we may not run the football that effectively any given Sunday. More times than not, we know 17 is going to be awesome. Now, again, I'm not trying to say Brock Purdy should be like Josh Allen. That's unrealistic. Only Mahomes can do the things. And by the way, Mahomes can't do with his legs as effective as he's a runner. Can't do with his legs what Josh Allen can do. Both have a comparable arm strength. Really only Mahomes and maybe someday Caleb Williams. Only guys I think in the league currently that can do the things Josh Allen can do. But it's how they built their roster. Okay, can we get the right offensive coordinator? The Bills got Brian Dable, but then Dable went to the Giants. It's like, yeah, the Ken Dorsey years. It was kind of bumpy. Allen was still great, but he was turning the ball over a ton. And now you get Joe Brady. And now you build the offensive line. And now you're able to put together not even an all-star group of guys, but a more well-rounded roster. And now they're 10-2, and they are, I think, clearly the biggest threat to Kansas City in the AFC. Now here comes Pittsburgh, but Buffalo, I mean, they literally just beat Kansas City a couple of weeks ago, and Josh Allen's playing the most efficient football of his career. They're running the football better than they have at any point in the Josh Allen era. I mean, this is a scary Bills team. Like, I think we've known that for a while. I'll get to the Jets later in my Week 13 recap. I was appalled at why the Jets were favored over Buffalo to win the division. I'm like, the Bills are literally better at everything. Coach, quarterback, defense, wide receiver, a whole thing. Won the division now 5 years in a row, clinched it Thanksgiving weekend with 5 games to go. And as Josh Allen said, he was up front after the game. We're going after the 1 seed. We are going after that 1 seed. We want to get home field advantage going to Buffalo because that's one of the best home field advantages in football, in sports for that matter. So kudos to the Bills. Very impressive win last night. Again, the Josh Allen touchdown pass himself. And I get a kick looking at the box score. Josh Allen, 0 catches, 7 yards, 1 touchdown. Listen, if I were an official, would I have probably whistled it dead on the Amari Cooper play? Was it probably for progress? Probably, but I'm glad he didn't because it was a fun play. One of the plays of the NFL season. But yeah, it's you see how these two franchises built their rosters, and it's like, not that San Francisco did it wrong. They came awfully close multiple times to doing it. But if you don't, your window closes much quicker than the other team, who, by the way, has never been to a Super Bowl, has been to one AFC championship game. But you have the capability to do it for a longer period of time. That's the thing with Buffalo. And that's what I saw the difference in that game last night. It was quite jarring, to put it mildly. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.